Okay, we are live. Hi everyone, this is the Drupal 8 Criticals meeting for July 10th, 2015. We started a bit late. It was not trivial to get people through, but we have a sizable group compared to it being the middle of high summer. So let's do the rounds of who's working on what, and then we'll discuss whatever is blocking us and whatever helps us move forward. Fabian, want to start?
Yes, sorry, I had to find the microphone. Okay, so I've been working together with the team on lots of cacheability issues as part of the sprint. We got a lot done. Helped Alex Port with major tasks that are related to the safe markup critical. And myself, I've been working on the service container issue. Yeah. There have been other approaches that can solve that issue too. However, they will only solve partial of the picture, while my approach would solve a huge bunch of issues all in one go, because it removes the architecture flaw of that the whole system needs to depend on something that is on the file system. Without relying on special things that are like depending on opcache or something like that. So it makes us completely independent of that part. And what I today found out is that the read-only container test that's supposed to help say that read-only container is supported in production is completely broken. And so a read-only container cannot work in production, which is another reason why I'm still pursuing that. I found out that one of the test issues, I've split out the DTAG couple tests from Container Builder. I can probably close won't fix or postpone to a later state because I found out that I had a wrong assumption and that the kernel test base has the assumption that everything is running with a container builder because it says it should not dump the container to disk. So I've changed the my container patch to now take that into account, and now tests are passing without any changes, which is great. I still think it's kind of schizophrenic that you can come out with get container from the kernel once with a container builder and once not with container builder. In such you have no kind of dependability of what it is, but that can at this stage well be a follow-up if you fix it at all. That issue mainly needs reviews. Obviously, it needs tests for the dumper thing, and it needs some optimizations to ensure it's fast. So instead of compiling the container to pure PHP, it's kind of compiling it to a PHP array, and which is then interpreted at runtime, which, as I've shown, can be a fast approach to solve that problem. So, and given how much difficulties I found all around the way when working on that issue, I still feel it's the right approach, but I'm obviously happy to discuss it with everyone involved. If anyone has any concerns that Drupal ships with its own container that is only interface compatible, please speak up. Speed-wise, I'm not worried. And it allows us to later increase the speed even more because we can, for example, use a compiled container extension like a PHP extension. Yeah, at the moment, I'm continuing doing reviews on different things. That works well. I think we are very, very close in things. I still have to try to, that I get to this week, reproduce some of the results that Cache has made for his performance profiling, so that we are all on the same page there and can close that down as we have the data we need. But besides that, I think we're making good progress everywhere. So yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, let's discuss the issue after we went around. I'll make a note. Jibrin?
Yeah, not doing not a lot of coding, but reviewing the stuff and making sure that when the issue is RTBC, we have all the documentation ready, change records are ready, everything is done. So mainly reviewing the stuff and making the core gates are completely passed, and yeah, that's the only thing I have been doing the last week. That's it from me.
Okay, great catch.
Yes, I've been mainly reviewing a critical queue. Haven't been working on anything directly this week. Going to try and look at the form state and controller page title issues because they're both RTBC. Mostly I've been looking at the block context manager upgrade path, trying to review it as annoyingly as possible. So I'll also try and catch up on later stuff in there soon as well. That's about it for me at the moment.
Okay. I'm not sure that Peter can talk. He said he's in a shared office and he might not be able to. No, he can't. Okay. We'll see if so. I think Peter was working on the config cache tags. Whoops. Config override should provide cacheability metadata, which he just posted. So I think if we have feedback on that, concerns, etc., then we should discuss that later on, and he may be able to get the feedback on the issue and move it forward if it's not good enough yet. Yeah, his next steps are to address the last remarks on the issue, and then hopefully there's nothing else that's unclear on the issue unless somebody has outstanding concerns not yet posted on the issue. Okay, let's do Birdier then, Sasha.
Yes, back from the sprint. There are some remaining tasks from there that I'm working on, mostly doing reviewing right now. So the token replacement cacheability issue is almost done. I have like one small remaining remark, and then I feel confident that I can set it to RTBC. And also reviewing a few other issues, for example, the upgrade path and the config override cacheability metadata issue, which I also think is close. Need to review the changes that happened in the last few days there. Not quite sure which task I will looking at next. I'm also working, which is not the critical, but I'm also working again a bit on PHP 7 support. And we just fixed a really scary bug there. And I'm mentioning it because in case we find something that we need to change in core, for example, there is still one issue about exception handling, we might eventually still find something that we'll need to change, so we might still find some critical issues there, but at the moment I'm not aware of any. But I'm running the tests to find out if that is the case.
Nice. Also, Jibrin has all the links. He's posting them on Harrison. Nice. Okay. I think that's a good way to make sure that we can run on PHP 7 and will not run into problems after release. So for me, I was also mostly working on supporting criticals, discussing several details of the cacheability criticals around content entities and config entities. The content entity one was already mentioned, and the project config entity one was already mentioned. And the content entity one is, let's see if I can be driven to the link. Yes. So this one, which is RTBC at the moment, I believe. So we'll hopefully get in. And then I was trying to support, oh no, it's actually fixed now, yay. So, and then I was supporting the tokens issue and blocks UI criticals issues with reviews. And we'll probably continue doing similar, since I think all the issues have pretty good activity. But if people have issues that would be good or would need more feedback from me, then I would be really happy to help in any. In the meantime, I got an email from Alex Pod that he will not be able to make it. He's more delayed than he thought he would be. So we're not waiting on anybody else. So do we want to discuss the issue from Fabian? The container builder.
Yeah, so what do folks think? To be independent of PHP storage?
For me, I think it's fine if the container's interface compatible, because the compiling this causes a lot of problems, and there's no way with synchronous container that we could use it without doing that, because that's what it's designed for. I just don't think that's just not what we need. Doesn't meet the case at all.
I haven't really had time to look at the patch yet, so I can't really provide much feedback. I'm in general a bit worried about making huge changes in such a central part of Drupal now, but I really need to look at the patch first to provide any more useful feedback.
So can we discuss provide an upgrade path to block context manager issue? So Catch has elaborated a pretty well plan there, but as Lee and Berdia mentioned there, it's pretty, we are doing a lot of overthinking here. So Catch, do you want to clear thing up there as well?
So I've been trying to give that one as hard a time as possible, because that's going to be the only core update we have that updates any config. So I think contrib and custom modules are going to copy that one, and core patches when they change config. So we should try to do what we think should be done and document really well while we're doing it. Because for me, I think there's probably 3 different kinds of config update. Like, there's one where you change the actual schema of the config. There's this one where you're changing a value, but the value relates to code elsewhere in the system. Like, in this case, it's services, but it could be plugins. And then there's another one where you're just changing like the value to something that would have been valid before or after. So I'd like to try and get this one right, but I'm not sure what getting it right looks like. Like the last 3 comments, I changed my mind within about 15 minutes, so it's not difficult. It's not easy to to figure out exactly how it should look. I don't know what. So I will completely admit that it's overthinking. I'm well aware of that. But I do think we should overthink it a bit and really have it solid and documented exactly what we're doing and why, so that when the next one happens, we don't have to do this all over again. Because I feel like if we don't document this, then we'll be having the same argument every single time we had an update for config and core. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I've already seen majors looking at this one for how to update views when they change the views entity data and stuff like that. Indeed.
Yeah, there are two views patches which are waiting for this one, which are waiting on this one, so that we have a proper upgrade path test and what we are going to do.
Yes, it looks like we are in good agreement there. Okay, any other issues that we can move forward and block?
So I want to discuss the support of PHP 7 issue a little more. Sorry about that. But here, is this a good idea to create a new testing issue for now in the issue queue, because we have new CI system in place and we can test and we can push CI guys to update something to PHP 7?
We should definitely open an issue, because I don't think we have an active environment right now about PHP 7. There is a testbot. I can give you the link from Trudy, but that one is broken somehow at the moment. It looks like the most recent Drupal CI container for PHP 7. I'm going to post it in IRC, the link. That one is running the PHP 7 tests daily, but it has been broken for a few days now on the new container. But yes, we should definitely open an issue to have a PHP 7 container so that we can see changes there, because there are quite recently new PHP 7 bugs are introduced. Like, we had almost all tests passing, and then we waited a few weeks, and now we've run the test again. At first we had a seg fault in the installer, and then this copy clone bug that we just fixed. So we should definitely have a test bot that's running daily to keep track of the status there. Doesn't need to be critical, but we should open an issue, yes.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Are there other criticals somebody's concerned about or feel like they're blocked or anything?
There's almost no more criticals. No. Yeah, I think overall there's not too many criticals left, and many are straightforward and have been discussed very much. And I think that we don't have much to discuss is a pretty good sign overall, because it means that we are really in the we need to fix things, and then we need to ensure that there's no more criticals lurking in the system. So probably now is a good idea if someone has some spare time, or if someone works with someone who has some spare time, to go through some major and see if they are major or if there's a critical lurking in there. But I think they're really good shape.
Yeah, I know that the CMI meetings regularly do a major triage to figure out if there's issues that are not major, should be downgraded, should be upgraded to critical. And we are constantly telling people who are interested in working on things but feel like they are not they don't have the time or the opportunity to work on criticals to look at the majors instead and try to help reproduce them and figure out if they are valid and if they may be critical and may need bigger data structure changes, etc. So I think for anyone looking at the recording, they feel like all the issues that they see are way too in the weeds, or they don't have the time to follow them, then triaging major issues indeed is a really good way to contribute and figure out if they still apply or worse than we thought. So in the meantime, we got Alex, Spot, and Daniel because I asked them while we were on the phone if they have stuff to talk about. So Alex, you want to go?
Yeah, 1 second. Just just literally sat down. Okay, sorry I missed the beginning of the call, everyone. The thing that I would like to talk about is something that maybe Daniel would also like to talk about, which is we've been working on the controllers render caching at the top level and setting a custom page title, loses the title, and render cache hits issued together, which is 2505989. And in doing that, we've removed the check plane from the title callback. And there's a new issue that's like a kind of follow-up from that, which is to discuss whether / which HTML tags should be allowed in entity labels. And it's kind of a bigger question around like titling things, because we're very inconsistent. Even for the same kind of entity type, there's moments where we check plain the taxonomy title in the taxonomy module, but when it comes to the forum module, using exactly the same system, we auto filter it using the admin tag list, and it's really confusing what happens and how a title is displayed and what's like. Will it be escaped? Will it be filtered? I don't know. And that issue is this one. Let me just. And we've just learned that Drupal does not support issues with a pipe in the title. So that issue is 2530474. And I was wondering what people felt about this. Do people not care? Do people not want to put like sup and subs in their title? And emphasis, anything like it seems to me like quite a common use case. Like I know that I've worked on sites where people want to put like HTML in titles, and then what they end up doing is like completely changing how titles output and adding a field to nodes, which is like a title field, and then doing all sorts of extra work, and it doesn't really like work correctly.
Yeah, things like registered trademark or other things may go there. That's probably also a Unicode character that you can use.
I think like what I've been kind of like thinking about is that there should be I think we should filter titles, because titles end up in the top of browser bars, and when they have like escaped HTML in a browser bar, it looks really stupid. But I think we should have like a user configurable list of tags which are permitted in titles, and it should be consistent across everywhere, because then it's predictable. But at the moment, it's really unpredictable. It's not consistent.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I'm not sure if like Core should expose that as a configuration, but as long as it's swappable somehow and people can do whatever crazy things they wanted, then I personally would be fine with even restricting it to not allowing tags. But like having a configurable list is also, I think, a fine idea, and especially uniting them.
Yeah.
Would be great, because the thing that taxonomy allows more than some others is pretty crazy.
Yeah. So are we talking about only entity labels or entity titles?
we're talking about so not on some entities like Node, the label and the title are the same thing.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the page, how Drupal gets the page title.
So in case of config entities like views or vocabularies, we want to do the same as well for the labels.
I think that anything that can end up in the page title should be filtered in the same way. And what I mean by the page title is the title that appears in the browser bar and what appears in the H1 on the page as so when you're looking at the node, that's the node title. When you're looking at a taxonomy term, that's the taxonomy term label / title. When you're looking at a view, it's the however it gets its title, which is there's a plethora of different ways, right? So, but it should be consistent so that whatever is in there is handled in the same way.
I think Daniel is trying to say something, and his mic is not working.
Yeah. So Daniel's.
I can try to talk. That works. Yeah, I love it because I mean something EM tag. It's really common that people actually want that. So I'm wondering, can't we use the XSS filter admin list, which has a restricted amount of text and which are fine, and or should we make that configurable extra because there might be users embedding tags which aren't closed, and that could destroy the HTML of the website.
So for me, the admin list is if we standardize on using the admin list, it's better than what we have now. But the idea of a title containing an ordered list, kind of is UL and OL are both allowed by the admin filter list. So if I was managing a website and someone put a UL in the title, I'd be quite happy if my CMS stripped it, because it's silly.
So I think before HTML5, you can only use typographic tags in H1, like EM, span, or bold, a strong tag. So I think now we can use divs as well. So admin XSS is a good, safe way, I presume.
Well, it's certainly safe, but it's I don't know. It's at the moment we check plain a lot, so and check plain doesn't seem right because, as everyone's saying, we need to support things like EM. So we've got to go somewhere, but going to the full admin list, there are things in there that just shouldn't be in an H1, like table.
I think a new list that's very restricted,
Yeah.
allowing either a container parameter or something quite like that would swap it out would be plenty. And then a contrib module can let you open that up via the UI.
Sure.
That's all we need.
Yeah, I think that's a good compromise.
So issue priority. Is our current inconsistent safe? All right. Is it all right that we check plain node titles by default, so you can't put italics or anything in them? I can't remember what Drupal 7 did. I assume it did the same. Check plain node titles.
Drupal 7, the title is check plain by default, but you can add a pass-through so that it doesn't, at least for the page title.
And I think that's really at the moment in head. I don't think that's possible to do for nodes because the title is check planes in the title callback. So you'd actually have to change the title. You'd have to override the whatever's providing that, the node view controller.
Yeah, that's more or less what you'd have to do in Drupal 7, or similar at least. Yeah.
So we're not dealing with a regression here. So is this just like a major task, and try and get it in before 8? But would we do it in 8.1?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Would we or would we not?
I don't know.
We could probably set it up so that we do it for new installs in 8.1.
Yeah.
And then don't do it, and then you can opt into it for old installs. Like, that wouldn't be that difficult, but I don't know. That's tricky. It'd be nice not to do that and do it before, so we don't have to mess about.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. All right. I think we've got a way to proceed. Like create a limited list. Look at the H1 specification for what's allowed in there. Think what we'd want to support, and go from there. And have lots of tests, because there's like seriously limited testing around like XSS filtering and check planing of things like titles. So like some standard tests for every entity label. Good. Cool. That's what I've got.
Anything else from you?
No, I'm hoping to get the XSS filter issue in sometime, but David's just raised a couple of other concerns that need to be addressed. Kind of getting bored with that one. Like, it'd be nice to get it in because of the fact that we can't proceed with removing the safe markup sets from the do render process. So yeah. And it's funny like how things lead on, because if we'd managed to get those two in, then the fix for the page title being lost on render cache would be simpler and be less like hacky in terms of like storing a list of safe strings in the cache and stuff like that. So I guess it's just the way it goes. That's all from me.
Okay, Daniel, can you talk, or do you have things to discuss other than titles?
It looks like his IRC was bouncing, so maybe he's having some connectivity issues.
Yeah, well, he said so earlier that he may not have a good connection.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else from the group for today?
Yeah, so I want to discuss update Ghazal GUID and make GUID drivers to latest release, this one. So it seems like there is some some major functionality missing in the new Ghazal update. So how do we want to proceed that? Are we going to wait on that feature request we created in the Ghazal queue, or are we going to do a workaround before that? What is the idea here?
I'm 100% sure that he will commit it either today or tomorrow, and then we can just proceed based upon that. I think it's not worth to implement our own hacky solution just to save a day or two and then whip it out later again.
Yeah, that makes sense. So is that the get the effective URL pull request?
Yep. So yeah, exactly. And
yeah, right, he's active in the PR.
I hope that's everything. There might be more depending on the test failures, but I'm convinced. I looked through all the cases and I couldn't see something else.
Nice. Well, go Drupal, making other libraries better, eh?
Yeah, also if there are other things outstanding there, Lee Rollins mentioned that he wouldn't be able to come today, but he's looking for a new pet issue and is currently settled on working on this one, updating us on good driver, etc. So, yeah.
Cool. I take it we've had like a general celebration of all the awesome work that people did at the London D8 Accelerate already, and I missed that. But anyway, wave for everyone who was there. Brilliant.
Yeah, indeed. The clapping we can get. Okay. So if there is nothing else, then this would be the time to close the meeting, unless somebody has something else to add.
Meeting the RTBC about controller vendor caching and listening to a song.
So yeah, if we need to, well, we can't have a new song, I don't think, because I think we have more criticals. What are we on? We're on 14. Oh yeah, so Nat, you need to do a commit, and then we can have a new song for the day.
What?
Okay, I now need to go and find this.
I have a song.
You have a song? Ping me the song somewhere, okay, Daniel, and I'll
Yeah, it's on IRC.
Nice. Have a great weekend, everyone.
All right, have a good weekend.
You too. Goodbye. Thanks for coming.
It's like,
Bye.
Bye.